Warning, the following video might be disturbing for some viewers. Goeiemorgen YouTube. Grab a glass of whiskey and sit back, because today we are playing Doki Doki Literature Club. And unfortunately in the previous episode we lost Sayori. It was quite a shocking experience, and in this episode you can see the game totally freaked out, so I can't say new game anymore and I don't know what to do at the moment. So the only logical explanation for me is to say load game, but then if you say load game, I'm just gonna replay the whole thing again. So I really do not know what to do. Well, I press that now. Okay, did I do something wrong? I am not gonna read that because I do not know how to pronounce it. Wait, what? I see an annoying girl running towards me from a distance, waving her arms in the air like she's totally oblivious to any attention she might draw to herself. That girl is my neighbor and good friend since we were children. You know, the kind of friend you've never seen yourself making today, but it just kind of worked out because you've known each other for so long. We used to walk to school together on days like this. But starting around high school, she would oversleep more and more frequently, and I would get tired of waiting up. But if she's going to chase after me like this, I almost feel better off running away. However, I just sigh and idle in front of the crosswalk and let catch up with me. What? Why is there a picture of Monica? What happened? It's an ordinary school day, like any other. Mornings are usually the worst, being surrounded by couples of friends and groups walking to school together. Meanwhile, I've always walked to school alone. What? What? I always tell myself it's about time I meet some girls or something like that. Wait. What? But I have no motivation to join any clubs. I'm perfectly content just getting by on the average while spending my free time on games and anime. There's always the anime club, but it's not like there would be any girls in it anyway. I think Natsuki would probably be part of the anime club. The school day is as ordinary as error, and it's over before I know it. After I pack up my things, I stare blankly at the wall, looking for an ounce of motivation. Clubs. There really aren't any that interest me. Besides, most of them would probably be way too demanding for me to want to deal with. I guess I have no choice but to start with the anime club. Dan the drummer? Monica? What? Oh my goodness, I totally didn't expect to see you here. It's been a while, right? Yeah, it has. Monica smiles sweetly. We do know each other. Well, we rarely talked, but we were in the same class last year. Monica was probably the most popular girl in class. Smart, beautiful, athletic. Basically completely out of my league. So having her smile at me so genuinely feels a little... What did you come in here for anyway? Oh, I've just been looking for some supplies to use for my club. Do you know if there's any construction paper in here? Or markers? I guess you could check in the closet. You're in the debate club, right? About that. I actually quit the debate club. Really? You quit? Yeah. To be honest, I can't stand all of the politics around the major clubs. It feels like nothing but arguing about the budget and publicity and how to prepare for events. Speaking of which, I'd much rather take something I personally enjoy and make something special out of it. In that case, what club did you decide to join? Actually, I'm starting a new one. A literature club. Literature? That sounds kind of dull. How many members do you have so far? It's kind of embarrassing, but there are only 3 of us so far. It's really hard to find new members for something that sounds so boring. Well, I can see that. But it's really not boring at all, you know. Literature can be anything: reading, writing, poetry. I mean, one of my members even keeps a manga collection in the club room. We all know who that is. Wait, really? Yeah, it's funny, right? She always insists that manga is literature too. I mean, she's not wrong, I guess. And besides, a member's a member, right? Did Monica say she? Hey, Dan the drummer. By any chance, are you still looking for a club to join? I mean, I guess, but... In that case, is there any chance you could do me a big favor? I won't ask you to join, but... if you could at the very least visit my club, it would make me really happy. Please? Well, I guess I have no reason to refuse. Besides, how could I ever refuse someone like Monica? Sure, I guess I could check it out. I have a sinking feeling in my stomach that this is the exact same conversation I had with Sayori. Not exactly the same, but like the fundamentals are there, but just changed to having it with Monica. Awesome. You're really sweet, Dan the drummer. You know that? It's nothing, really. Shall we go then? I'll look for the materials another time. You're more important. What? And thus, today marks the day I sold my soul to Monica and her irresistible smile. I timidly follow Monica across the school and upstairs, a section of the school I rarely visit, being generally used for third-year classes and activities. Monica, full of energy, swings open the classroom door. I'm back, and I brought a guest with me. A guest?
Seriously? You brought a boy? Way to kill the atmosphere.
Don't be mean, Natsuki. But anyway, welcome to the club then, the drummer. I don't know what to say. All words escape me in the situation. This feels so wrong. This club is full of incredibly cute girls.
So let me guess. You're Monica's boyfriend, right?
What? No, I'm not. Natsuki, the girl with the sour attitude, whose name is apparently Natsuki, is one I don't recognize. Her small figure makes me think she's probably a first year. Anyway, this is Natsuki, energetic as usual. And this is Yuri, the vice president. It's nice to meet you. Yuri, who appears comparably more mature and timid, seems to have a hard time keeping up with someone like Natsuki. Yeah, it's nice to meet both of you. So, I ran Dan the drummer into Dan the drummer in a classroom, and he decided to come check out the club. Isn't that great?
Wait, Monica? Didn't I tell you to let me know in advance before you brought anyone new? I was going to... well, you know.
Sorry. I didn't forget that, but I just happened to run into him. We all know what she was going to do. In that case, I should at least make some tea, right? Yeah, that would be great. Why don't you come sit down then, the drummer? The girls have a few desks arranged to form a table. Yuri walks to the corner of the room and opens the closet. Meanwhile, Monika and Natsuki sit across from each other. Still feeling awkward, I take a seat next to Monika. So, I know you didn't really plan on coming here, but we'll make sure you feel right at home, okay? As president of the literature club, it's my duty to make the club fun and exciting for everyone. I'm surprised there aren't more people in the club yet. It must be hard to start a new club. You could put it that way. Not many people are very interested in putting out all the effort to start something brand new. Especially when it's something that doesn't grab your attention, like literature. You have to work hard to convince people that you're both fun and worthwhile. But it makes school events like the festival that much more important. I'm confident that we can all really grow this club before we graduate. Right, Natsuki?
Well, I guess.
Natsuki reluctantly agrees. Such different girls, all interested in the same goal. Monika must have worked really hard just to find these two. Yuri returns to the table, carrying a tea set. She carefully places a teacup in front of each of us before setting down the teapot in the middle. You keep a whole tea set in this classroom? Don't worry, the teachers gave us permission. After all, doesn't a hot cup of tea help you enjoy a good book? I guess. The way I feel now, it would probably be a glass of whiskey. Don't let yourself get intimidated. Yuri's just trying to impress you. That's not... Insulted, Yuri looks away. I meant that... You know. I believe you. Well, tea and reading might not be a pastime for me, but I at least enjoy tea. I'm glad. Yuri faintly smiles to herself in relief. So, Dan the drummer, what kind of things do you like to read? Well, considering how little I've read these past few years, I don't really have a good way of answering that. Manga. I mutter quietly to myself, half joking. Natsuki's head suddenly perks up. It looks like she wants to say something, but she keeps quiet. Not much of a reader, I guess. Well, that can change. What am I saying? I spoke without thinking after seeing Yuri's sad smile. Anyway, what about you, Yuri? Well, let's see. Yuri traces the rim of her teacup with her finger. Talking about reading, I'm busy reading the first book of The Lord of the Rings, and it is taking forever. And the problem is I bought 2 other books, waiting for a certain book to come out that came out in October, and I thought to myself, okay, I can first finish these 3 before I start with the new book. And I kept on putting it off, and now I bought my new book, but I can't start reading the new book before I finish the previous ones. So I'm not even halfway through The Lord of the Rings, and I still have 2 other books to read before I can actually start reading the book I want. Which I guess could be a blessing in disguise, seeing that it takes a few years to write a book. So if I start with the book I want to read later, that means I don't need to wait as long for the next book that the author releases. My favorites are usually novels that build deep and complex fantasy worlds. The level of creativity and craftsmanship behind them is amazing to me. And telling a good story in such a foreign world is equally impressive. Yuri goes on, clearly passionate about her reading. She seemed so reserved and timid since the moment I walked in, but it's obvious by the way her eyes light up that she finds her comfort in the world of books, not people. But, you know, I like a lot of things. Stories of deep psychological elements usually immerse me as well. Isn't it amazing how a writer can so deliberately take advantage of your lack of imagination to completely throw you for a loop? This statement has new meaning reading it now. Anyway, I've been reading a lot of horror lately. I played a horror game once. I desperately grabbed something I can relate to at the minimal level. At this rate, Yuri might as well be having a conversation with a rock. I'd expect it from you, Yuri. It suits your personality. Oh, is that so? Really? If a story makes me think or takes me to another world, then I really can't put it down. Surreal horror is often very successful at changing the way you look at the world, if only for a brief moment. Ugh, I hate horror. Oh? Why is that?
Well, I just...
Natsuki's eyes dart over to me for a split second.
Never mind.
That's right, you usually just write about cute things, don't you, Natsuki?
What? What gives you that idea?
You left a piece of scrap paper behind last club meeting. It looked like you were working on a poem called...
Don't say it out loud. And give that back.
Fine, fine. Natsuki, you write your own poems?
Well, I guess sometimes. Why do you care?
I think that's impressive. Why don't you say them sometime?
No.
Natsuki averts her eyes. You wouldn't
like them.
Ah, not a very confident writer yet. I understand how Natsuki feels. Sharing that level of writing takes more than just confidence. The truest form of writing is writing to oneself. You must be willing to open up to your readers, exposing your vulnerabilities and showing even the deepest ridges of your heart. Do you have writing experience too, Yuri? Maybe if you share some of your work, you can set an example and help Natsuki feel comfortable enough to share hers. I guess it's the same for Yuri. We all sat in silence for a moment. Hey, I've got an idea. How about this? Natsuki and Yuri look quizzically at Monika. Let's all go home and write a poem of our own. Then, next time we meet, we all share them with each other. That way, everyone is even. I thought it was a good idea. Well, I think you're right, Monika. We should probably start finding activities for all of us to participate in together. I did decide to take up the responsibility of vice president, after all. I need to do my best to nurture the club as well as its members. Besides, now that we have a new member, it seems like a good step for us to take. Do you agree as well, Dan the drummer? Hold on. There's still one problem. What's that? Now that we've reached the most important topic, I bluntly come forth with what's been on my mind the entire time. I never said I would join this club. Monika may have convinced me to stop by, but I never made any decision. I still have other clubs to look at and, I lose my train of thought. All three girls stare back at me with dejected eyes. But... I'm sorry, I thought... The girls exchange glances before Monika turns back to me. I guess I need to tell you the truth, Dan the drummer. The thing is, we don't have enough members yet for an official club. We need 4. And I've been trying really, really hard to find new members. And if we don't find one more before the festival, I'm defenseless against these girls. How am I supposed to make a clear-headed decision when it's like this? I would feel terrible for letting everyone down in this situation. And besides, the club itself seems pretty relaxed. So if writing poems is the price I need to pay in order to spend every day with these beautiful girls. Right. Okay, I've decided then. I'll join the literature club. One by one, the girl's eyes light up. Oh my goodness, really? Do you really mean that, Dan the drummer? Yeah. It could be fun, right? You really did scare me for a moment.
I mean, if you really just left after all this, I would be super pissed.
Dan the drummer, I'm so happy. We can become an official club now. Thank you so much for this. You're really amazing. I'll do everything I can to give you a great time. Okay? Thanks, I guess. Okay, everyone. I think with that, we can officially end today's meeting on a good note. I don't think we can end this meeting on a good note. Remember, everyone, tonight's assignment. I've messed up that sentence totally, but I'm not even gonna try again. Write a poem to bring to the next meeting so we can all share. Monica looks over at me once more. Dan the drummer, I look forward to seeing how you express yourself. Yeah. Can I really impress the class star Monica with my mediocre writing skills? I already feel the anxiety welling up inside me. Meanwhile, the girls continue to chit-chat as Yuri cleans up the tea set. I guess I'll be on my way then. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow then. I can't wait. With that, I depart the club room and make my way home. The whole way my mind wanders back and forth between the three girls. Natsuki, Yuri, and of course, Monica. Will I really be happy spending every day after school in a literature club? Perhaps I'll have the chance to grow closer to one of these girls. Alright. I'll just need to make the most of my circumstances, and I'm sure good fortune will find me. And I guess that starts with writing a poem tonight. You have unlocked a special poem. Would you like to read it? Yes, please. Can you hear me? This is creepy. What the hell? Uncanny. Disoriented. It's just too bouncy. I can't remember what I did last, so I'm just gonna do the same thing I usually do, just look for big words. I don't feel like any of these. They're so positive. That is a dessert, and I think that would be eternity. Are we gonna do this? Yes. Grief, that's good. Sadness. Headphones dance, massacre. Extraordinary. This one. Should I really? I need to. Hopeless. Ambient. Passion. What? Wait, what? Hi again, Dan the drummer. Glad to see you didn't run away on us. Nah, don't worry. This might be a little strange for me, but I at least keep my word. Well, I'm back at the literature club. I was the last to come in, so everyone else is already hanging out. What? Thanks for keeping your promise, Dan the drummer. I hope it isn't too overwhelming of a commitment for you, making you dive headfirst into literature when you're not accustomed to it.
Oh, come on, like he deserves any slack. You already had to be dragged here by Monica. I don't know if you plan to just come here and hang out or what, but if you don't take us seriously, then you won't see the end of it.
Is that a threat? Okay, now I can totally not read that. Natsuki certainly have a big mouth for someone who keeps a manga collection in the club room. Natsuki finds herself stuck between Monica and manga. Manga is literature. Swiftly defeated, Natsuki plops back into her seat. I'm sorry, Dan the drummer. We'll make sure to put your comfort first, okay? Why? Yuri shoots Natsuki with a disappointed glance. Anyway, now that you're in the club and all, perhaps you might have interest in picking up a book to read? Well, I can't really say no either way. Well, we did read a book, we almost finished it, now we need to start again. Like you said, I'm in this club now. So it only feels right for me to do something like that, if you ask. Wait, I didn't mean it like that. If you don't really want to, then forget I said anything, I guess. No, it's not that, Yuri. I want to try to be part of this club. So even if you don't read often, I'd be happy to pick up a book if you wanted me to. Are you sure? I just felt like... Well, as vice president and all, why are you hiding behind your vice presidentship? That I should help you get started on something you might like. Yuri reaches into her bag and pulls out a book. I didn't want you to feel left out, so I picked up a book that I thought you might enjoy. It's a short read, so it should keep your attention, even if you don't usually read. And we could, discuss it if you wanted. This is... How is this girl accidentally being so cute? She even picked out a book she thinks I like, despite me not reading much. Yuri, thank you. I'll definitely read this. I enthusiastically take the book. Phew. Well, you can read it at your own pace. I look forward to hearing what you think. Now that everyone is settled in, I expect Monica to kick off some schedule of activities for the club. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Yuri's face is already buried in a book. I can't help but notice her intense expression, like she's waiting for this chance. Meanwhile, Natsuki is rummaging around in the closet. I'm really curious to talk to Yuri a little bit more, but at the same time, I would feel bad for distracting her from reading. I can't remember what I chose in this scenario in the previous lifetime. I catch a glimpse of the cover of her book. It looks like the same book that she lent to me. More than that, she seemed to be on the first few pages. Carp. I think she noticed me looking at her. She sneaks another glance at me and our eyes meet for a split second. But that only makes her hide her face deeper in her book. Sorry, I was just spacing out. I muttered this, sensing I made her uncomfortable. Oh, it's fine. If I was focused, then I probably wouldn't have noticed in the first place. But I'm just rereading a bit of this, so... That's the book you gave me, right? I wanted to reread some of it. Not for any particular reason. Just curious, how come you have 2 copies of the same book? Well, when I stopped at the bookstore yesterday, that's not what I meant. I mean, I just happened to buy 2 of them. I see. I think she also has a alternate agenda that we don't know about. There's something fairly obvious here that Yuri isn't telling me, but I decided to let it go. I told you. I'll definitely start reading it soon. I'm glad to hear. Once it starts to pick up, you might have a hard time putting it down. This might also be in a fourth wall break, but yeah, instead of having a hard time putting it down, I have a hard time picking it up, if you catch my drift. It's a very engaging and relatable story. Is that so? What's the story about anyway? Well, I look at the cover of the book. The book is titled Portrait of Markov. There's an ominous looking eye symbol in the front cover. Basically, it's about this religious camp that was turned into a human experiment prison. That sounds weird. And the people trapped there have this trait that turns them into killing machines that lust for blood. But the facility gets even worse, and they start selectively breeding people by cutting off their limbs and affixing them to... Oh, that might be a little bit of a spoiler. But anyway, I'm really into it. The book, I mean. Not the thing about the limbs. It's kind of dark, isn't it? Yuri made it sound like it was going to be a nice story, so that dark turn came out of nowhere. Once again, a innuendo in a fourth wall break. Are you not a fan of this sort of thing, Dan the Drum? No, it's not that. I mean, I can definitely enjoy those kind of stories, so don't worry. I hope so. Yeah, I totally forgot that Yuri is into those things. She shows shy and reclusive on the outside, but her mind seems to be completely different. It's just that this kind of story, it kind of challenges you to look at life from a strange new perspective. When horrible things happen not just because someone wants to be evil, but because the world is full of horrible people and we're all worthless anyway. What? What? But then suddenly, I'm rambling, aren't I? What? Not again. I'm so sorry. Hey, don't apologize. What just happened? I haven't lost interest or anything. Well, I guess it's alright then. But I feel like I should let you know that I have this problem. When I let things like books and writing fill my thoughts. What? My whole body gets incredibly something. I can't read that fast. I kind of forget to pay attention to other people. So I'm sorry if I end up saying something strange. And please stop me if I start talking too much. I really don't think you need to worry. Wait, has the ghost of Natsuki, the ghost of Sayori, gone into Yuri? That just means you're passionate about reading. The least I can do is listen. It is a literature club after all. That's true. In fact, I might as well get started reading it, right? Yes. Wait, what? I mean, you don't have to, but... What are you saying? Let me just get the book. I quickly retrieved the book that I had put into my bag. Alright. Is it fine if I sit here, right? I slip into the seat next to Yuri's. Yeah. Are you sure? You seem a little bit apprehensive. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't want you to. It's just something I'm not very used to. That is, reading company with someone. I see. Well, just tell me if I end up distracting you or anything. That's the problem with reading in the company of someone. You can't focus on the book. Alright. I open the book and start the prologue. I soon understand what Yuri means about reading in company. It is as if I can feel her presence over my shoulder as I read. It's not a particularly bad thing, maybe a little distracting, but the feeling is somewhat comforting. Yuri is in the corner of my eye. I realize that she's not actually looking at her own book. I glance over. It looks like she's reading from my book instead. Sorry. I was just... Wait. What? Once again. I don't know. I'm not gonna try and read that because it's just too fast. Yuri, you really apologize a lot, don't you? I do? I don't really mean to. Sorry. I mean... Here, this should work, right? I slide my desk until it's up against Yuri, then I hold my book more between the two of them. I suppose so. Yuri timidly closes her own copy. Once we each lean in a little bit, once again I struggle with this word. Our shoulders are almost touching. It feels like my left arm is in the way, so instead I use my right hand to hold the book open. I guess that makes it kind of difficult to turn the page. Here. Yuri takes her left arm and holds the left side of the book between her thumb and forefinger. I do the same with my right arm on the right side of the book. That way, I turn a page and Yuri slides it under her thumb. After it flips on us to her side. But I'm holding it like this. We're huddled even closer together than before. It's actually kind of distracting me. It is as if I can feel the warmth of Yuri's face, and she's in the corner of my vision. Are you ready? To turn the page? Sorry. I think I got a bit distracted for a second. I glance over at Yuri's face, and our eyes meet. I don't know how I'll be able to keep up with her. That's okay. You're not used to reading, right? I don't mind being patient if it takes you a bit longer. It's probably the least I can do, since you've been so patient with me. Yeah, thanks. We continue reading. Yuri no longer asks me if I'm ready to turn the page. Instead, I just assume that she finishes the page before me, so I turn it by my own volition. We continue the first chapter in silence. Even so, turning each page almost feels like an intimate exchange. My thumb gently letting go of the page, letting it flutter over to her side, as she catches it under her own thumb. Hey, Yuri. This might be a silly thought, but the main character kind of reminds me of you a little bit. No, I don't relate to this character at all. Definitely not. Really? I was just thinking the way she second guesses things she says and all that. That's what you were talking about. Sorry. Wait, what? I thought you meant something else about her. Something else? Never mind. We didn't even get that far yet, so I don't know why it came into my head. Yuri, are you feeling alright? Yuri's been a little fidgety ever since we started reading. You can rest if you're feeling sick or something. Your breathing is a little... My breathing? Yuri puts her hands on her chest, as if to feel her heartbeat. I didn't even notice. Anyway, I'm fine. I just need some water. Alright, don't push yourself. Yuri stands up and practically rushes out of the classroom. What on earth was that about? Dan the drummer? Did something happen just now? I have no idea. Yuri was acting a little strange, I guess. So you don't know anything? No, I do not. Sorry, I can't say I do. Are you worried about her? Oh, no, not really. I was just making sure that you didn't do anything to her. What? No, nothing. Don't worry, I believe you, silly. Yuri just does this sometimes, so it's not alarming. Alright, if you say so. Anyway, why don't we start with sharing our poems with each other? Shouldn't we wait for Yuri? Well, she might be a while, so I just figured we'd get started without her. Is that okay? No, it's not okay. Yeah, I was just asking. I stand up. I make a mental note of where I left off in the book, then slip it back into my bag. What's going on here? I'm gonna show it to Natsuki. I told Natsuki I was interested in her poems yesterday. It's probably only fair if I share mine with her first, but she's not gonna like it because I wrote it not for her.
Well, it's about what I expected for someone like you.
That's a little blunt.
Well, excuse me. It's not like I said it was bad. It just didn't evoke any emotions.
So basically, it's not cute enough for your tastes.
Do you want to get smacked?
I'll pass.
Huh. Well, anyway, I guess I need to show you mine. Not that you'll like it. Eagles could fly. Monkeys could climb. Crickets could leap. Horses can race. Owls can seek. Cheetahs can run. Eagles can fly. People can try. But that's about it. That's a short poem. Yeah. I told you that you weren't gonna like it.
Whoa. I like it.
What? Just be honest.
I am. Why are you convinced that I wouldn't like it?
Well, because everyone in high school thinks that writing has to be all sophisticated and stuff. So people don't even take my writing seriously.
But it isn't the point of poems for people to express themselves? Your writing style wouldn't make your message any less valid.
Yes, exactly. I like when it's easy to read, but it hits you hard. Like in this poem, seeing everyone around you do great things can be really disheartening. So I decided to write about it.
Yeah, I understand. Now that poem actually makes sense.
But the other nice thing about simple writing is that it puts more weight on the wordplay. Like I set up for a rhyme at the end, but then made it fall flat on purpose. It helps bring out the feeling in the last line.
So you did. I guess more went to it than I realized.
That's what it means to be a pro. I'm glad you learned something. Didn't expect that from the youngest one here, did you?
Yeah, I guess not. I decided to humor her with that last comment. I don't really care how old everyone is, but if Natsuki is feeling proud, then I won't take that away from her. Who should I show my poem to next is Monica, because she's the only one, because Yuri isn't in the classroom. Hi, Dan the drummer. Having a good time so far? Yeah. Good. Glad to hear it. By the way, since you're new and everything, if you ever have any suggestions for the club, like new activities or things we could do better, I'm always listening. Don't be afraid to bring things up, okay? Alright, I'll keep that in mind. Of course, I'll be afraid to bring things up. I'm much better off just going with the flow until I'm more settled in. Anyway, want to share your poem with me? It's kind of embarrassing, but I guess I have to. Don't worry, Dan the drummer. We're all a little embarrassed today, you know. But it's that sort of barrier that we'll all learn to get past soon. Yeah, that's true. I hand Monica my poem. Great job, Dan the drummer. I was going ooh in my head while reading it. It's really metaphorical. I'm not sure why, but I didn't expect you to go for something so deep. I guess I underestimated you. It's easiest for me to keep everyone's expectations low. That way, it always counts when I put in some effort. That's not very fair. Well, I guess it worked anyway. You know that Yuri likes this kind of writing, right? Yes, I know. Writing is full of imagery and symbolism. Sometimes I feel like Yuri's mind is just totally detached from reality. I don't mean that like it's a bad thing though. But sometimes I get the impression that she's totally given up on people. She spends too much time in her own head, and it's probably a much more interesting place for her. But that's why she gets so happy when you treat her with a lot of kindness. I don't think she's used to being indulged like that. She must be really starved for social interaction, so don't blame her for coming on a little strongly. Like earlier, I think she gets too stimulated. She ends up withdrawing and looking for alone time. Suddenly, the door opens. Yuri! I'm back. Did I miss anything? No, not really. Well, we've all started sharing our poems with each other. Eh? Already? I'm so sorry for being late. No need to apologize. We'll still have plenty of time, so I'm glad that you took all the time you needed. Alright. Thanks, Monica. I suppose I should go get my poem now. Anyway, do you want to read my poem now? Don't worry, I'm not very good. You sound pretty confident for someone who claims to be not very good. Well, that's cause I have to sound confident. That doesn't mean I always feel that way, you know. I see. Well, let's read it then. Hole in the wall. But he wasn't looking at me. Confused, I frankly glanced at my surroundings. But my burnt eyes can no longer see color. Are there others in the room? Are they talking? Or are they simply poems on flat sheets of paper? The sound of frantic scrawling playing tricks on my ears. The room begins to crinkle, closing in on me. The air I breathe dissipates before it reaches my lungs. I panic. There must be a way out. It's right there. He's right there. Swallowing my fears, I brandish my pen. What the hell? So, what do you think? It's very freeform, if that's what you call it. Sorry, I'm not really the right person to ask for feedback. It's okay. Yeah, that kind of style has gotten pretty popular nowadays. That is, a lot of poems have been putting emphasis on the timing between words and lines. Then performed out loud, it can be really powerful. What is the inspiration behind this one? Well, I'm not sure I know how to put it. I guess you could say I had some of a kind of an epiphany recently. I've been influencing my poems a bit. An epiphany? Yeah, something like that. I'm kind of nervous to talk about deep stuff like that because it's kind of coming on strongly. Maybe after everyone is better friends with each other. Anyway, here's Monica's writing tip for the day. Sometimes when you're writing a poem or a story, your brain gets too fixated on a specific point. If you try so hard to make it perfect, then you'll never make any progress. Just force yourself to get something down on the paper and tidy it up later. Another way to think about it is this. If you keep your pen on the same spot for too long, you'll get a dark puddle of ink. So just move your hand and go with the flow of the ink. That's my advice for today. Thanks for listening. Oh, I still need to show my poem to Yuri. As Yuri reads the poem, I notice her eyes lighten. Exceptional! What was that? Did I say it out loud? Yuri first covers her mouth, but then ends up covering her whole face. He's going to hate me. You really didn't do anything wrong, Yuri. I guess you're right. What am I getting so nervous for? Yuri takes a breath. So, what kind of writing experience do you have? Your use of imagery and metaphors indicate you've written a lot of poetry before. Really? Wow, that's a huge compliment coming from you. This is actually my first time, really. Huh? Yuri stares at me blankly, then looks at my poem again. Well, I know that. I just mean, Yuri trails off, unable to find an excuse. She traces her fingers along the words of the poem, as if breaking it down more thoroughly. Yeah, okay. This is the reason I was able to tell. It's just that there are specific writing habits that are usually typical of new writers, and having been through that myself, I kind of learned to pick up on them. I think it's the most noticeable thing I recognize in new writers is that they try to make their style very deliberate. In other words, they tend to pick up writing separate from the topic matter, and they form fit the two together.